Right now, this moment is for you. Not the crowd, not the world, not some abstract audience out there in the ether. You, the woman I love. The woman who's standing at a crossroads in her life, staring down a path that feels impossible, wondering if it's time to turn back. I'm talking to you because I see something in you, a fire, a vision, a dream that's bigger than you might even realize. And I'm here to tell you something I've never said quite like this before. Something so personal, it can only be said to one person at a time. It's about you, your fight, and the choice you're facing right now that will define who you become. This isn't about my companies, my plans, or some grand announcement. This is about you, the woman who's on the verge of giving up on something that matters more than you know. Don't, not yet, not ever. Let me tell you why. I know what it feels like to stand where you are. You've got this thing, this goal, this passion, this piece of you that's screaming to be let out into the world. Maybe it's a business you're building, a book you're writing, a career you're chasing, or a life you're trying to create that's different from the one everyone expects of you. It's big, it's bold, it's you. But the world's pushing back hard. You're hitting walls. Maybe it's money, maybe it's time, maybe it's people telling you you're crazy, that you're aiming too high, that you should settle for something smaller, safer, more realistic. You're starting to wonder if they're right. You're starting to think maybe this dream was a mistake, a childish fantasy, and that letting it go is just part of growing up. I'm here to tell you they're wrong, and you're wrong if you believe them. Giving up right now would be the biggest mistake of your life, and I'm going to tell you why. But first, I need you to feel this moment. This is your moment, the one where everything changes if you choose to keep going. Let me take you back to a time when I was in your shoes. It's not about the details, but the feeling. Picture this. Everything I'd built, everything I'd poured my heart and soul into was crumbling. Tesla was bleeding cash, SpaceX was a few failed launches away from becoming a joke, and I was staring at a bank account that was running dry faster than a California reservoir in a drought. Friends, advisors, even my own team people I trusted were telling me to cut my losses, to pick one fight and let the other go. It made sense, it was logical, the numbers didn't lie. The world was screaming at me that I'd overreached, that no one could revolutionize cars and space travel at the same time. And you know what? I almost believed it. I almost walked away, but something stopped me. Something deep inside that refused to let go of the vision I'd started with. That's what I see in you right now, a vision that's worth fighting for, even when the world says it's impossible. You're not just fighting for a goal, you're fighting for who you are. That dream of yours, it's not just a project or a plan. It's the part of you that believes you can change things, that you can make something beautiful, something meaningful, something no one else can. It's the part of you that refuses to accept the limits everyone else takes for granted, the part that sees possibilities where others see walls. If you give that up, you're not just changing your plans. You're letting go of the most valuable piece of your soul, the piece that makes you capable of doing what no one else can. I've been there. I've felt the weight of that choice. And I know what it's like to look in the mirror and wonder if you're fooling yourself. But here's the truth. The moment you feel like giving up is the moment you're closest to breaking through. Not because of some mystical nonsense, but because you've already done the hardest work. You've faced the setbacks, learned the lessons, and built the skills. You're on the edge of something real, something extraordinary, and you don't even see it yet. Right now, you're probably surrounded by voices telling you to be practical. Maybe it's your family, your friends, your colleagues, or even that little voice in your head that's starting to sound a lot like them. They're saying things like, you've tried hard enough, or it's okay to let this go, or maybe this isn't meant for you. They mean well, but they're missing the point. They don't see what I see in you. They don't understand that the resistance you're facing, the sleepless nights, the endless obstacles, the constant doubt isn't a sign you're failing. It's a sign you're doing something that matters. Easy things don't change the world. Comfortable paths don't build character. The kind of woman you're capable of becoming, the kind who inspires others, who shapes the future, who leaves a mark, only emerges from the kind of struggle you're in right now. The world doesn't hand out greatness. You have to take it one hard step at a time. I'm not saying this to make you feel special in some generic feel-good way. I'm saying this because I believe you're at a turning point. You're not just anyone. You're the woman who's been working towards something that represents who you want to be, what you want your life to mean. Maybe it's a business that could change an industry. Maybe it's a story that could touch millions. Maybe it's a fight for a life that's true to you, not the one society expects. Whatever it is, it's yours and it's worth it. But the obstacles are real. The criticism stings. The indifference from people you thought would support you cuts deep. You're starting to question everything, your skills, your resolve, your worth. You're wondering if the effort, the tears, the late nights are worth it. I get it. I've been there. But let me tell you something. Every single time I faced that moment and kept going, it's made all the difference. Not because I won every time, but because I became someone who doesn't quit when it matters most. Here's what I need you to do. Don't decide anything right now. Don't give up. Don't pivot. Don't adjust your expectations. Just commit to 30 days. 1 month of giving it everything you've got as if quitting isn't an option. Focus on the work, the next step, the immediate problem in front of you. Don't worry about the big picture or whether you'll make it. Just keep moving forward. I promise you, in those 30 days, you'll start to see things differently. You'll find resources you didn't know you had, solutions you didn't expect, strength you didn't realize was there. You'll remember why you started. You'll feel that fire again, the one that's been buried under all the doubt and exhaustion. And most importantly, you'll prove to yourself that you're capable of more than you think right now in this moment. I know you're scared. I know it feels like the world is against you, but the truth is, the world always resists change. It resists people who dare to dream big, especially women who refuse to stay in their lane. You're not just fighting for your dream, you're fighting for every woman who's ever been told her ambitions are too much, her ideas are too crazy, her vision is too big. You're fighting for the little girl who's watching you, learning what it means to be brave, to keep going, to believe in herself no matter what. You're fighting for the woman you're going to become, the one who'll look back on this moment and be glad she didn't give up. So don't, not now, not when you're this close to proving what's possible. This isn't about me. It's about you. But I'm telling you this because I've seen what happens when you refuse to let go of what matters. I've seen it in my life, in my companies, in the impossible things we've made real because we didn't quit. You have that same power. You're closer than you think. The skills you've built, the lessons you've learned, the person you've become through all of this, they're not going anywhere. They're compounding, waiting for you to take the next step. So take it, keep going. The woman I love doesn't give up. She fights, she creates, she changes the world. And that woman is you. You're still here. That's a start. You're listening, and that means something inside you is still fighting, still holding on to that spark, that vision, that piece of you that refuses to let go. I'm talking to you, the woman I love, the woman who's standing on the edge of something extraordinary but doesn't see it yet. You're not just chasing a dream. You're chasing the version of yourself who doesn't back down, who doesn't settle, who looks at the impossible and says, why not me? But right now you're tired, you're bruised. The weight of every setback, every doubt, every door slammed in your face is pressing down on you. I get it. I felt that weight. And I'm here to tell you it's not a sign to stop. It's a sign you're doing something worth fighting for. Let me take you deeper into why this moment, this struggle, is the crucible where the woman you're meant to be is forged. Think about what's brought you here. You didn't stumble into this fight by accident. You chose it. Maybe it was years ago, maybe it was just last week. But there was a moment when something lit up inside you, a vision, an idea, a purpose that felt so real, so vital that you couldn't ignore it. Maybe you wanted to build something that changes lives, create art that moves people, or carve out a life that's true to who you are, not what the world expects of a woman. That choice wasn't random. It came from a place deep inside, a place that knows you're capable of more than the world gives you credit for. But now the path is rougher than you expected. The failures sting more than you thought they would. The people who were supposed to cheer you on are either silent or telling you to play it safe. And worst of all, you're starting to wonder if you've been chasing a mirage. Let me stop you right there. That doubt? It's not truth, it's just noise. And I'm going to show you how to tune it out. I've been in those dark moments, not the ones you read about in headlines, but the quiet ones no one sees. The nights when I sat alone, staring at a screen full of numbers that told me my companies were doomed. The moments when I wondered if I'd bet everything, my money, my reputation, my sanity on a delusion. There was a time early on with SpaceX when we'd burned through millions and had nothing to show for it but 3 failed launches and a team that was starting to lose faith. The media called it a pipe dream. Investors were pulling out. Even some of my closest allies were saying, Elon, you've done enough. You can walk away with your head high. And you know what? I almost did. I almost convinced myself that scaling back, playing it safe was the smart move. But then I remembered something critical. The mission wasn't about me. It wasn't about proving I was right or saving face. It was about something bigger, making humanity multiplanetary, giving our species a backup plan. That mission didn't care how tired I was, how broke I was, or how many people thought I was crazy. It demanded everything I had, and so do you. Your mission, whatever it is, isn't just a goal. It's a piece of you. It's the part of you that says, I can do this even if no one else believes it. It's the part that's willing to risk looking foolish, to keep going when everyone else would quit. And right now, that part of you is under attack, not just from the outside, but from within. You're starting to believe the lie that your dream is too big, that you're not enough, that the world doesn't need what you're trying to create. But let me tell you something. The world always resists people who try to change it, especially women who dare to step outside the lines drawn for them. Every great woman in history, every scientist, artist, leader, dreamer faced this exact moment. The moment when the world said, "Who do you think you are?" And they answered by keeping going. That's what I'm asking you to do. Not for me, not for them, but for you. Let's talk about those obstacles for a second. They're real. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Maybe you're struggling to get funding for your startup, or your manuscript keeps getting rejected, or you're juggling a career and a family while everyone tells you to pick one. Maybe you're facing biases that make every step twice as hard. People who underestimate you, dismiss you, or expect you to shrink yourself to fit their idea of who you should be. Those aren't just challenges, they're tests. They're the universe asking, how much does this matter to you? And the answer isn't in what you say, it's in what you do. Every time you push through, you're not just getting closer to your goal. You're proving to yourself and to every woman who comes after you that those barriers can be broken. That's not just a personal victory, that's a legacy. Here's something I learned the hard way. The resistance you're facing isn't random. It's not bad luck or a sign you're on the wrong path. It's the natural response of a world that's comfortable with the status quo. Change is hard, it's messy, it's expensive in time, in energy, in emotion. And when you're a woman daring to dream big, the world doesn't just resist, it pushes back twice as hard. But that resistance is also a signal. It means you're onto something. Easy paths lead to ordinary lives. The hard ones, they lead to greatness. Every time I face that kind of pushback, it's been a sign I was working on something that could shift the world, whether it was electric cars, reusable rockets, or neural interfaces. Your work, your vision has that same potential. Not because I say so, but because you've already poured so much of yourself into it. I want you to think about the woman you were when you started this journey. She was fearless, wasn't she? She saw something worth fighting for and didn't care how many people said it was impossible. She didn't let fear of failure stop her from taking that first step. That woman is still inside you, even if she feels buried under layers of doubt and exhaustion. I'm asking you to reach for her again. Not by ignoring the challenges, but by seeing them for what they are, the cost of doing something that matters. You don't have to have all the answers right now. You don't have to know how it's all going to work out. All you have to do is keep moving forward one step at a time for the next 30 days. Solve the problem in front of you. Find the next foothold. Trust that the path will reveal itself as you go. Let me tell you about a moment that changed how I see challenges. It wasn't a big win or a dramatic breakthrough. It was a quiet realization after another long night at SpaceX when we were down to our last few $1 million and the clock was ticking. I was sitting with my team looking at the wreckage of our latest failure, and someone said, "Maybe this is as far as we can go." For a second, I let that sink in. But then I looked at the data, every mistake, every explosion, every miscalculation, and I realized something. Each failure wasn't a dead end. It was a map. It was showing us what didn't work, narrowing down the path to what would. That's what your setbacks are doing right now. They're not proof you're failing. They're proof you're learning, getting closer, refining your approach. Every rejection, every obstacle, every moment of doubt is a piece of the map that's leading you to where you're meant to be. So here's my challenge to you, the woman I love. Don't let the noise drown out your vision. The world's going to keep telling you to be smaller, to be safer, to be less. Don't listen. For the next 30 days, treat your dream like it's non-negotiable. Show up every day, even when you're scared, even when you're tired, even when you don't believe in yourself. Do the work, make the call, write the page, take the step. Not because you're guaranteed to win, but because you're guaranteed to grow. You're going to discover strengths you didn't know you had. You're going to find allies you didn't expect. And most importantly, you're going to remind yourself why this matters, not just to you, but to the world that's waiting for what only you can create. You're not alone in this. I see you. I believe in you. And I know that the woman who started this journey is still there, ready to fight for what she believes in. The world needs you to keep going, not the version of you that shrinks to fit, but the version that dares to dream bigger than anyone thought possible. You're closer than you think. The resistance you're feeling, it's not a wall, it's a door. And all you have to do is keep pushing. You're still with me. That means you're not ready to give up, not completely. There's a part of you, maybe buried deep, that's still holding on to the vision of who you can be. I'm talking to you, the woman I love, the woman who's carrying a dream so big it scares you, so heavy it feels like it might crush you, but it won't. You're stronger than that. You're stronger than you know. Right now, you're standing in the middle of a storm, doubt, fear, criticism, maybe even betrayal from people you thought had your back. It's tempting to think the storm means you're on the wrong path, that you should turn back and find shelter in something easier, something safer. But I'm here to tell you that the storm is exactly where you're supposed to be. It's not a sign you're failing, it's a sign you're pushing the boundaries of what's possible. And I'm going to tell you how to navigate it, not just to survive, but to come out the other side as the woman you were always meant to become. Let's get real for a second. The world doesn't make it easy for women like you. You're not just fighting for your dream, you're fighting against a system that's been built to keep you in a box. Maybe it's the subtle comments that chip away at your confidence. Are you sure you can handle that? Or don't you think you're taking on too much? Maybe it's the outright dismissal, the investors who won't take your pitch seriously, the colleagues who overlook your ideas, the society that expects you to prioritize everyone else's needs before your own. It's exhausting, it's unfair, and it's enough to make anyone question whether their vision is worth the fight. I've seen that kind of resistance not just in my own life, but in the women I admire most, the ones who've built empires, broken barriers, or simply refused to let the world define them. They all faced moments like this, moments where the easiest choice was to shrink, to conform, to let go. But they didn't. And neither will you. I want to take you back to a moment in my own journey, not to repeat what I've already said, but to show you something different. A time when I learned what it means to keep going when the odds are stacked against you. It was during the early days of Neuralink when we were trying to do something most people thought was straight out of science fiction, building a bridge between the human brain and machines. The technical challenges were insane: nanotechnology, neuroscience, regulatory hurdles, you name it. But the real battle wasn't in the lab. It was in the conversations with people who should have been our allies, scientists who said it couldn't be done, investors who called it a fantasy. Even some of my own team wondered if we were chasing a ghost. I remember sitting in a meeting, listening to a top expert tell me we'd never solve the problem of interfacing with the human brain without decades of research. For a moment, I felt the weight of that skepticism. I wondered if I was leading my team into a dead end, if I was asking too much of them, of myself. But then I realized something. Their doubt wasn't about the mission, it was about their own limits. And I wasn't here to play by their rules. That's what you're up against right now. The people telling you to slow down, to be realistic, to give up, they're not seeing your vision. They're seeing their own fears, their own boundaries, their own version of what's possible. But you're different. You've got something inside you that doesn't bend to that kind of thinking. You've got a spark that says, I can do this, even if it's hard, even if it takes everything I've got. And that spark is what makes you extraordinary. It's what makes you the woman I love. But here's the hard truth: that spark needs fuel. It needs you to protect it, to feed it, to keep it burning, even when the world tries to snuff it out. And the way you do that isn't by waiting for the storm to pass, it's by learning to dance in the rain. Let's talk about what that looks like. Right now, you're probably facing a million reasons to quit. Maybe your business is running on fumes and you're one bad month away from calling it quits. Maybe you've sent out 100 job applications and gotten nothing but silence or polite rejections. Maybe you're trying to create something, a book, a film, a movement, and the world keeps telling you it's not good enough. Those aren't just obstacles, they're the raw materials of your success. Every no is a lesson. Every failure is a step closer to getting it right. Every moment you feel like you're not enough is a chance to prove you are. I learned this the hard way with Tesla. We didn't just have to build a better car, we had to reinvent an entire industry while everyone from Detroit to Wall Street bet against us. Every recall, every production delay, every critic who called us a failure was another chance to learn, to adapt, to get better. And we did. Not because we were smarter than everyone else, but because we refused to let the setbacks define us. You're in that same fight now. Your dream, whether it's launching a company, telling your story, or breaking free from a life that doesn't fit you, isn't just a goal. It's a rebellion. It's a refusal to accept the world's limits, to let someone else's version of possible dictate your future. And that rebellion starts with a choice: the choice to keep going, even when it feels like you're walking into a headwind. I'm not asking you to ignore the pain or pretend everything's fine. I'm asking you to use it. Let the frustration fuel you. Let the doubt sharpen your focus. Let the criticism remind you that you're not here to make everyone comfortable. You're here to make a difference. Here's what I want you to do for the next 30 days. Keep your eyes on the work, not the outcome. Don't worry about whether you'll make it or what people will think. Just show up every day and do one thing, big or small, that moves you closer to your vision. If you're writing, write one page. If you're building a business, make one call. If you're fighting for a better life, take one step toward it. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be yours. And every time you do that, you're not just building your dream, you're building yourself. You're becoming the woman who doesn't flinch when things get hard, who doesn't need permission to chase what matters, who doesn't let the world's doubts drown out her own voice. I know what it's like to feel alone in this, to look around and see no one who gets it, no one who sees the fire in you the way I do. But you're not alone. Every woman who's ever changed the world has stood where you stand now. They've faced the same skepticism, the same exhaustion, the same temptation to walk away, and they kept going not because they had all the answers, but because they believed in what they were doing. You have that same belief. It's what got you this far. It's what's going to carry you through. And when you come out the other side, you're not just going to have a win, you're going to have a story of a woman who refused to quit, who turned the storm into her strength, who showed the world what's possible when you dare to keep going. This is about more than just you. It's about every woman who's watching you, every girl who's learning from you what it means to be fearless. It's about the legacy you're creating, not just for yourself, but for a world that needs women like you, women who don't just dream, but do. So don't stop now. Not when you're this close to showing everyone, including yourself, what you're made of. The woman I love doesn't give up. She fights, she creates, she changes the game, and that woman is you. You're still here, still listening, and that tells me you're not done fighting. You're not ready to let go of that dream, that vision, that piece of you that's been pushing you forward, even when everything else is pulling you back. I'm talking to you, the woman I love, the woman who's standing in the fire right now, feeling the heat of doubt, pressure, and expectation, but still holding on. You're not just holding on for yourself, you're holding on for something bigger, something that could change the world in ways you can't even see yet. But it's hard. It's harder than you thought it would be, and the temptation to walk away is stronger than ever. I'm not here to tell you it's going to get easier. I'm here to tell you it's going to be worth it. And I'm going to show you why the fire you're in right now is exactly what's going to make you unstoppable. Let's talk about what's happening inside you. There's a battle going on, not just between you and the world, but between the part of you that believes in your dream and the part that's starting to think it's too much. You're questioning everything, your abilities, your choices, maybe even your worth. Maybe you're looking at the progress you've made and thinking it's not enough, that you should have gotten further by now, that you're falling behind. Maybe you're comparing yourself to others, people who seem to have it all figured out, who make it look easy, who don't seem to struggle the way you do. That comparison is poison. It's stealing your focus, your energy, your belief in yourself. And I'm here to tell you to stop. Stop looking at their paths. Stop measuring yourself against their yardsticks. Your journey is yours, and it's not supposed to look like anyone else's. It's supposed to look like you messy, fierce, unique, and powerful. I've been in that headspace. I know what it's like to look at the competition and feel like you're losing. When I was trying to get Tesla off the ground, the auto industry giants were churning out millions of cars a year with billions in revenue and decades of experience. We were a scrappy startup with a handful of engineers, a factory that was barely functional, and a bank account that was one bad quarter away from zero. I'd read articles about how we were doomed, how we couldn't compete with companies that had supply chains, infrastructure, and brand loyalty we could only dream of. And yeah, there were moments when I wondered if they were right. But then I realized something. Their success wasn't my story. Their rules weren't my rules. I wasn't here to play their game. I was here to rewrite it. And that's what you're doing right now, whether you see it or not. You're not just chasing a goal. You're creating something new, something that doesn't fit into the world's neat little boxes. And that's why it's hard, but it's also why it matters. You're not failing because you're struggling. You're struggling because you're building something that hasn't been built before. You're not falling behind because you haven't made it yet. You're carving a path where there wasn't one, and that takes time, grit, and a kind of courage most people can't even imagine. The world isn't ready for you yet, not because you're not enough, but because you're ahead of the curve. You're seeing possibilities that others can't, and that scares them. It challenges them. It makes them uncomfortable. And when people get uncomfortable, they push back, they criticize. They tell you to aim lower, to be more practical, to stop dreaming so big. But you know what? That's their fear talking, not your reality. Your reality is that you're on the verge of something extraordinary, and the only thing standing in your way is the choice to keep going. Let me tell you about a moment that taught me this. It wasn't about rockets or cars, it was about something quieter, something personal. When I was working on the Boring Company trying to figure out how to dig tunnels faster and cheaper than anyone ever had, we hit a wall. Not a literal one, but a figurative one. The technology was unproven, the costs were astronomical, and the experts, people who'd spent their lives in engineering and construction, told us it was a pipe dream. I remember sitting in a room with my team, looking at a whiteboard covered in equations and timelines, and feeling the weight of their doubt, not just theirs, mine. I started thinking, maybe this is too much. Maybe I'm asking for something that's beyond what's possible right now. But then one of my engineers, a woman who'd been with us from the start, said something that stuck with me. She said, if we're not failing, we're not trying hard enough. That hit me like a ton of bricks. She was right. The fact that we were struggling wasn't a sign we were wrong, it was a sign we were pushing the limits of what anyone thought was possible. That's where you are right now. You're pushing limits. You're not just trying to achieve a goal, you're trying to redefine what's possible for you, for women, for the world. And that kind of work always comes with resistance. It's not just the external stuff, the money, the time, the critics, it's the internal battle too. The voice that says, maybe I'm not cut out for this. The fear that you're not smart enough, strong enough, good enough. But here's the truth. That voice isn't you. It's the echo of every time someone told you to stay small, to be less, to fit in. It's the voice of a world that's scared of what happens when a woman like you refuses to play by its rules. So don't listen to it. Listen to the other voice, the one that started this journey, the one that still believes, even if it's just a whisper now, that's the voice that's going to carry you through. Here's what I want you to do. For the next 30 days, treat your dream like it's a living thing. Protect it, feed it. Give it your time, your energy, your heart. Not because you're sure you'll succeed, but because you're sure it's worth it. Every day, do one thing that moves you forward, even if it's small. Write one sentence, make one connection, take one risk. And when the doubt creeps in, and it will, don't fight it. Acknowledge it, then keep going anyway. That's what courage looks like. It's not the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward despite it. And every time you do that, you're not just building your dream, you're building a version of yourself that's stronger, wiser, more resilient than you can imagine. You're not alone in this fight. I see you. I see the woman who's been underestimated, overlooked, told to aim lower. I see the woman who's still standing, still dreaming, still fighting. And I believe in her, not because of what she's done, but because of what she's capable of. The world needs women like you women who don't just accept things as they are, but who imagine what they could be. Women who don't just survive the storm, but who learn to harness it. So don't stop now. You're not just fighting for yourself. You're fighting for every woman who's ever been told her dreams are too big, for every girl who's watching you and learning what it means to be fearless. You're fighting for the woman. You're becoming the one who's going to look back on this moment and say, I kept going and it changed everything. Keep going. The woman I love doesn't quit. She builds, she dreams, she changes the world. And that woman is you. You're still here, still fighting, still holding on to that spark inside you. That tells me you're not just any woman, you're the woman I love, the one who's got a fire in her soul that refuses to be extinguished, no matter how hard the world tries to douse it. You're standing at a moment that feels like it could break you, a moment where every fiber of your being is screaming for relief, for an easier path, for a chance to just breathe. I see you. I see the weight you're carrying, the dreams that keep you up at night, the fears that creep in during the quiet moments, the pressure to prove yourself in a world that's quick to judge and slow to understand. But I'm not here to tell you to push through blindly or to pretend the pain isn't real. I'm here to tell you that this moment, this struggle, is where you're going to find the strength you didn't know you had. This is where you become the woman who doesn't just survive, she thrives. Let's talk about what's really going on. You're not just chasing a goal, you're chasing a version of yourself that you've always known was possible, even if you've never seen her in the mirror yet. You know, she's the woman who doesn't let fear dictate her choices, who doesn't let setbacks define her worth, who doesn't need the world's approval to keep going. But right now, that woman feels far away. Maybe you're looking at the mountain of work ahead, whether it's a business that's barely holding together, a creative project that's stalled, or a personal fight to break free from a life that doesn't fit and it feels insurmountable. Maybe you're hearing voices, not just from others, but from inside your own head saying, you're not ready, you're not good enough, you're in over your head. Those voices are liars. They're not telling you the truth about who you are. They're trying to keep you small. And you, the woman I love, were never meant to be small. I've felt that kind of doubt, not the kind that makes headlines, but the kind that hits you when you're alone, when the world's asleep, and it's just you and your thoughts. There was a time with XAI when we were trying to build AI that could accelerate human discovery. that I felt like I was staring into an abyss. The problems were massive ethical dilemmas, technical barriers, skeptics who said we were playing with fire. I remember a late night sitting in a dark office, looking at a screen full of code that wasn't working, and thinking, what if this is too big? What if I'm leading my team, my investors, myself into a failure we can't recover from? The doubt wasn't just about the project, it was about me. Was I smart enough? Was I strong enough? Did I have the right to ask people to believe in something this ambitious? But then I did something that changed everything. I stepped back and asked myself, if I walk away now, who am I letting down? The answer wasn't just my team or my investors, it was me. It was the version of myself I'd promised to become when I started this journey. That's the question I want you to ask yourself right now. Who are you letting down if you give up? Not just the people counting on you, your family, your friends, your team, but you. The woman who started this fight, who saw something worth building, worth creating, worth sacrificing for, she's still there, and she deserves a chance to see what she's capable of. You're not just fighting for a dream, you're fighting for her. For the woman who believes she can change things, who knows she's meant for more, who refuses to let the world's limits define her, and the world, it's going to keep throwing obstacles in your way. Not because you're failing, but because you're daring to do something that matters. The bigger the dream, the bigger the resistance. That's not a bug, it's a feature. It's how you know you're on the right path. Let's talk about that resistance for a minute. It's not just the external stuff, the lack of money, the missed opportunities, the people who don't get it. It's the internal fight too, the exhaustion that makes you want to crawl into bed and forget it all. The fear that you're not enough, that you'll never be enough. The guilt, maybe, that you're spending so much time and energy on something that hasn't paid off yet when you could be doing something safer, something that makes everyone else happy. As a woman, you're carrying an extra layer of that guilt, aren't you? The world loves to tell women they're selfish for chasing their dreams, that they should put everyone else first, that ambition is somehow unladylike. That's nonsense. Your ambition is your strength. Your dream is your gift, not just to you, but to everyone who's going to be touched by what you create. And the only way to give that gift is to keep going, even when it feels like you're carrying the weight of the world. Here's something I learned from building companies that seemed impossible. The moments when you feel the weakest are often the moments when you're closest to a breakthrough. Not because of some fairy tale magic, but because you've already done the hardest work. You've faced the failures, learned the lessons, built the skills. Every time you've fallen and gotten back up, you've gotten stronger. Every time you've heard no and kept going, you've gotten closer. You're not starting from scratch anymore. You're standing on a foundation you've built brick by brick through every tough moment you've survived. And that foundation is solid. It's real. It's yours. All you have to do is keep building. For the next 30 days, I want you to do something radical. Act like your dream is inevitable, not possible, not probable, but inevitable. Treat it like it's already happening, like the world is just catching up to you. Every day, take one action, big or small, that moves you closer to it. If you're writing, write one paragraph. If you're building a business, make one pitch. If you're fighting for a better life, make one choice that aligns with who you want to be. Don't worry about how far you have to go. Don't worry about what people think. Just focus on that one action, that one step, and let it remind you who you are. Because you, the woman I love, are not someone who gives up. You're someone who builds, who creates, who changes things. And the world needs that now more than ever. You're not alone in this. I see you, the woman who's been told she's too much, too loud, too ambitious. I see the woman who's been underestimated, overlooked, dismissed. And I see the woman who's still here, still fighting, still dreaming. You're not just doing this for yourself. You're doing it for every woman who's ever been told to stay small, for every girl who's watching you and learning what it means to be fearless. You're doing it for the woman. You're becoming the one who's going to look back on this moment and say, I didn't quit. And that made all the difference. So keep going. The fire you're in right now, it's not here to burn you, it's here to forge you. And the woman I love doesn't run from the fire, she becomes it. You're still here, still listening, and that's not nothing, it's everything. It means you're not ready to let go of the woman you're becoming, the woman I love, the one who's got a vision so bold it shakes the ground she walks on. You're in the thick of it now, aren't you? The moment where the world feels like it's conspiring to stop you, where every step forward feels like pushing a boulder uphill, where the dream you've been chasing seems to slip further away with every try. But you're not slipping, you're climbing. And I'm here to tell you that this climb, this grueling, gut-wrenching climb, is what's going to make you the kind of woman who doesn't just dream big, she makes big things happen. This isn't about ignoring the pain or pretending you've got it all figured out. It's about recognizing that the pain, the struggle, the uncertainty, they're not your enemies, they're your teachers. And they're teaching you how to become unstoppable. Let's get to the heart of it. You're not just fighting for a goal anymore. You're fighting for the right to believe in yourself, to trust your own instincts over the noise of a world that's constantly telling you to doubt. Maybe you're building a company and the numbers aren't adding up. Maybe you're creating something, a painting, a film, a movement, and it feels like no one's listening. Maybe you're trying to redefine your life, to break free from expectations that have held you back, and it feels like you're swimming against the tide. Whatever it is, you're not just up against practical problems, you're up against a narrative one that says women like you should know their place, should settle for less, should prioritize comfort over ambition. That narrative is a lie. And the only way to prove it wrong is to keep going, to keep showing up, to keep believing in the vision that set your heart on fire in the first place. I've been in moments like this, not the ones that make it to the news, but the ones that happen in the quiet when no one's watching. There was a time with Starlink when we were trying to connect the world with satellite internet that I felt like we were drowning in complexity. The engineering was brutal, thousands of satellites, each one a miracle of precision, had to work in perfect sync, and we were burning cash faster than a rocket burns fuel. I remember a meeting where my team laid out the risks, supply chain delays, regulatory roadblocks, competitors with deeper pockets. One of my advisors, someone I respected, looked me in the eye and said, Elon, this is a noble idea, but it's not practical. You're stretching yourself too thin. For a moment, I felt the weight of that. I wondered if I was being reckless, if I was asking too much of my team, of myself. But then I remembered why we started. It wasn't just about internet access, it was about giving people a voice, connecting the disconnected, making the world smaller and more human. That purpose didn't vanish because the math was hard or the critics were loud. It got clearer. That's what I want you to hold on to right now. The why behind your fight. You didn't start this journey on a whim. You started it because something inside you said, this matters, this is worth it. Maybe it's a business that could change lives. Maybe it's a story that could inspire millions. Maybe it's a life that's true to who you are, not who the world wants you to be. Whatever it is, that why is your anchor. It's what keeps you steady when the world tries to knock you off course. And the world will try, it'll throw every excuse at you to quit time, money, doubt, fear, the expectations of others. As a woman, you're carrying an extra burden, the pressure to be perfect, to please everyone, to prove your worth, the space you're taking up, but you don't have to prove anything to anyone. The only person you owe is yourself, the woman who had the courage to start this journey, who saw something worth fighting for, who believed she could make it real. Here's something I've learned from building things that seemed impossible. The moments when you feel the most lost are often the moments when you're closest to finding your way, not because the universe is kind, but because you've already done the work to get this far. Every rejection you faced, every mistake you've made, every night you've spent wondering if you're enough, they've all been building something inside you. Resilience, clarity, grit. You're not the same woman you were when you started. You're tougher, smarter, more determined, even if you don't feel it yet. And that's the secret. The breakthroughs don't come when you feel ready. They come when you decide to keep going anyway. I want you to think about the women who've inspired you. Maybe it's a historical figure, a mentor, a friend. Think about what makes their stories resonate. It's not that they never struggled, it's that they kept going through the struggle. They faced the same doubts, the same barriers, the same voices telling them to stop. And they said number, not because they were fearless, but because they were determined. That's what you're made of too. That determination is what makes you the woman I love. It's what makes you capable of doing things that no one else can. But it's not enough to just have it, you have to use it. You have to choose it every single day, especially on the days when it feels impossible. For the next 30 days, I want you to make a promise to yourself. No matter what happens, you're not going to let go of your why. Don't worry about the end game or how it's all going to come together. Just focus on showing up. Do one thing every day that honors your vision, that reminds you who you are. If you're an artist, create one sketch. If you're an entrepreneur, solve one problem. If you're fighting for a better life, make one choice that aligns with your truth. Doesn't have to be big. It just has to be yours. And every time you do that, you're not just moving closer to your goal, you're moving closer to the woman you're meant to be. The one who doesn't let fear win, who doesn't let the world define her, who doesn't need permission to change things. You're not alone in this. I see you, the woman who's been told her dreams are too big, her voice is too loud, Her ambitions are too much. I see the woman who's still here, still fighting, still believing, even when it's hard. You're not just doing this for yourself. You're doing it for every woman who's ever been told to stay small, for every girl who's watching you and learning what it means to be unstoppable. You're doing it for the woman. You're becoming the one who's going to look back on this moment and say, I didn't give up, and that changed everything. So don't stop now. The climb you're on, it's not just leading to your dream, it's leading to you. And the woman I love doesn't back down. She rises, she builds, she changes the world. That woman is you. You're still here, still standing, still holding on to that fire inside you. That's not just resilience, that's power. You're the woman I love, the one who's staring down a world that's trying to tell you your dreams are too big, your vision too wild, your heart too bold. You're in the fight of your life right now. And it's not just about the goal you're chasing, it's about who you're becoming in the process. You're not just building a business, creating art, or carving out a life that's true to you. You're building a legacy, a testament to what's possible when a woman refuses to let go of what matters most. The world's throwing everything it's got at you: doubt, rejection, exhaustion, the weight of expectations that say you should be anything but who you are, but you're still here. And I'm here to tell you that this moment, this fight, is where you're going to discover just how much you're capable of. This is where you become the woman who doesn't just dream, she delivers. Let's cut through the noise. You're not just up against practical problems, money running low, time slipping away, opportunities passing you by. You're up against something deeper. The fear that maybe you've been wrong all along, that maybe your dream was a mistake, a fantasy you should have outgrown, that maybe you're not the woman you thought you were. I know that fear. It's the kind that creeps in when you're alone, when the world's quiet, and all you can hear is your own heartbeat and the questions you don't want to answer. Have I gone too far? Am I in over my head? Will I ever be enough? Those questions aren't truth, they're traps. They're designed to pull you back, to make you doubt the very thing that makes you extraordinary, your refusal to settle for anything less than what you know is possible. I've been there, not in the way the world sees, with headlines and fanfare, but in the moments no one talks about. When I was pushing to make reusable rockets a reality at SpaceX, there was a point where it felt like we were running on fumes, literally and figuratively. We poured everything into a fourth launch attempt after 3 failures, each one costing millions and months of work. The team was exhausted. The critics were relentless, calling me a dreamer who'd never deliver. And in a quiet moment, staring at a spreadsheet that showed we had maybe 6 weeks of cash left, I felt that fear. Not just of failing the company, but of failing myself, of proving the doubters right, of letting down the person I'd promised to be when I started this whole thing. But then I did something that changed the game. I stopped looking at the numbers and started looking at the mission. I asked myself, if I walk away now, what happens to the dream of making humanity a spacefaring civilization? What happens to the person I'm supposed to become? The answer was clear. I couldn't live with walking away, not because of pride, but because the mission was bigger than me, and so is yours. Your dream isn't just about you. It's about the impact you're going to have, the lives you're going to touch, the world you're going to change. Maybe you're building something that could shift an industry, or telling a story that could inspire a generation, or fighting for a life that shows every woman what's possible when you refuse to back down. That's not small. That's not trivial. That's a mission, and missions don't come with guarantees, they come with challenges. They come with moments where you have to decide who you're going to be: the woman who listens to the fear and walks away, or the woman who listens to her heart and keeps going. I know which one you are. I've always known. You're the woman who doesn't just dream, she fights, she builds, she makes things happen, even when the odds say she can't. Let's talk about those odds for a second. They're not just numbers or circumstances, they're a story the world tells you about what's possible. And for women, that story is often rigged. You're told to aim lower, to be practical, to prioritize everyone else's needs before your own. You're told that ambition is risky, that boldness is reckless, that dreaming too big is a recipe for disappointment. But you know what? Every woman who's ever changed the world has heard that story and ignored it. They didn't wait for permission, they didn't wait for the world to catch up. They kept going, even when it felt like they were alone, even when it felt like the world was against them. And that's what you're doing right now. You're rewriting the story, not just for yourself, but for every woman who comes after you, for every girl who's watching and learning what it means to be fearless. Here's what I want you to do for the next 30 days. Don't focus on the finish line. Don't worry about whether you're winning or what people think. Focus on the mission. Every day, ask yourself, what's one thing I can do today to honor what I believe in? Maybe it's making a call you've been avoiding. Maybe it's finishing a draft you've been stuck on. Maybe it's choosing to believe in yourself, even for one moment when the doubt feels overwhelming. Whatever it is, do it. Not because it's going to solve everything, but because it's going to remind you who you are. It's going to keep that fire burning, the one that's been with you since the beginning, the one that's going to carry you through. I want you to know something. You're closer than you think. Not because I'm an optimist, but because I've seen how this works. Every time I've pushed through a moment like this, whether it was with uh, SpaceX, Tesla, or any other crazy idea I've chased, the breakthrough came when I least expected it. Not because the problems magically disappeared, but because I'd already done the work to get there. Every failure, every setback, every moment of doubt was part of the process. It was teaching me, shaping me, preparing me for the moment when it all came together. That's what's happening to you right now. You're not stuck, you're preparing, you're not failing, you're learning. You're not falling, you're rising. And when you break through, it's not just going to be a win, it's going to be a story that changes everything. You're not alone in this. I see you, the woman who's been told her dreams are too much, her voice too loud, her heart too wild. I see the woman who's still fighting, still believing, still standing. You're doing this for yourself, but you're also doing it for every woman who's ever been told to stay small, for every girl who's watching and learning what it means to be unstoppable. You're doing it for the woman. You're becoming the one who's going to look back on this moment and say, I kept going. And it made all the difference. So don't stop now. The mission you're on, it's not just yours, it's the world's. And the woman I love doesn't give up. She fights, she creates, she changes everything. That woman is you.